different things will work for different people, but like addressing your inner critic and like putting the time to work on that and just working on being kind to yourself makes such a difference.
Hello everybody, welcome to That's a Wrap. What's next? Episode 11 with Aysha Galloway, actor, writer, editor, filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
We've had like long conversations and before, but this is going to be like an hour of talking. We haven't, I feel like this is a long conversation and it's like an intentionally meaningful and deep conversation. Otherwise it was just like passing in the hallways.
We've had accidental deep conversations.
Okay.
Like when we haven't. Would you agree?
I'm just like trying to remember them.
Like when we were working on that mockumentary, like for work or your school.
Oh yeah.
We like spent a lot of time together.
Did. That was fun. Basically, I'm really excited about this. And I'm also excited because you guys don't know this, but this is the first time we're filming a podcast episode at night.
Whoa.
So it's kind of like we're having a sleepover if you really think about it.
Guys.
So it's a bit awkward if you're like driving to work right now in the morning, but it's a sleepover for us.
Yep.
So let's just get cracking with, would you like to tell everyone, okay, she's amazing. Her writing is, we did a table read last week.
We did.
Of her feature film.
Yes.
And it was incredible.
Thank you.
Would you like to give us the spiel, the rundown on your projects, yourself, just the whole little
Oh my goodness.
bio?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, I went to acting school for 2 years and at Sydney Actors School, they train you in acting and filmmaking. So it was like acting and film school for 2 years. As you know, you did also attend there.
I did. And so did maybe half of the guests.
Half the guests you've listened to so far. Yes, funny that. Yeah, so I went there for 2 years. I was lucky enough to graduate with an agent, which was very exciting. I remember like the week after I graduated, like the next Wednesday, I went in for a general at Mulliners because my agent had like sent me in for it, and I was like, yeah, I was like,
that's awesome.
I've made it. and then, yeah, so went straight from acting school onto a set for a feature film, which was very exciting.
It's crazy.
Yes, went straight from that to crewing on a feature film. So a friend of my partner at the time, he was making a feature film, and we went to Melbourne for a month, which was very exciting. So that was like straight out of acting school, straight out of film school. We want to make films, we want to act, and then there we are on the set, which was really, really fun. But it was just like a month of doing that, which was just the best. But unfortunately for me, during that month, a little pandemic began.
Oh,
So,
goodness me.
I know. I graduated in 2019, like ready for the industry, and then straight into 2020, which was a little bit annoying.
So sad.
But I did a lot of self-taping in 2020, and I also did a lot of voiceover work.
Really?
Yeah, like voiceover and audio and video production for a startup.
I'm just going to fix my mic.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. No, it's fine. We'll hold. We'll hold.
Wow. And was that through your agent?
No.
You just found it?
That's not what you'd expect, is it?
No.
No, so I used to teach kids in Balmain, and like the family that I worked with, I got a lot of freelance work from them. So the husband of the family, that was a weird way of saying that. Let me start that again. So one of them was creating a startup and asked me to like do the voiceover for it. And then it gradually kind of became like do all the ads and do all the video production and like, you know, everything. That was really good because in 2020 it was like paid work. There was like stuff that I wanted to do, which was really fun. And then 2020 was also the year that I began writing my project that we'll probably talk about later. So yes, so did all of that, and then I've kind of been like writing random things or just my project since I graduated, which has been good, and like always kind of self-taping and auditioning and, you know, doing the damn thing. It's really hard but fun. Anyway, and then so 2021 was like mainly freelance work and everything, and then also working at the school. So I was hired as a technical assistant.
A TA, if you will.
Yeah, a TA, yes. Which was really fun because it was like around film gear and like being on set and film students and things the whole time. So that was really fun.
That is really good.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, just like a whole lot of like definitely like multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we love. So a lot of that. And then, yes, more recently, I mean, as you know, I do all of the like marketing at the school, but also like the video production, which is the part that I really enjoy. So I get to do all of the editing and shooting and producing all of the big content for them, which is really great.
Which is really spicy this year. It's great.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I work really hard on it. So thank you. And then like there's that, but also a lot of the time I feel like I'm in high school. Let me elaborate on that.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I still feel like I'm 16. So no, I feel like I'm in high school because I go to my job and then I come home in the evening and continue working on all the things that I actually want to do. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like that time from like, I don't know, 7 p.m. to 10 where it's like, cool, now I can do all my editing or my writing or like anything creative that I really want to work on. So it's a little bit like that, but I kind of love it. I kind of love being busy. And then, oh yeah, I forgot. I edited a short film last year, Bernice.
Oh yeah.
It's being accepted into lots of film festivals.
That's very exciting.
Which is very exciting.
Do you know what for? Like different categories or?
I think mainly comedy. I don't know. I really don't know enough to speak on it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but it's really funny.
And you edited.
Yeah. And it was really fun because I was like in the cinema and people laughed on the cuts.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, yeah.
That's awesome. What a good feeling.
And I was like, yeah, okay. So like that sort of more creative stuff is really fun. I mean, yeah, it literally can be summed up with just like editing, writing and acting. That's kind of
your life.
My life, yeah.
I love that though.
Thank you.
I feel similar with the busy is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Except but wait.
Yes.
It was Sunday. 2 days ago.
Sunday.
Today's Tuesday. Yeah, it was on Sunday.
Today's Monday.
Don't do that to me.
Babe, today's Monday. Says it right there.
Oh my God.
It's Monday. So it was yesterday.
Oh my God. It was it was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
And I was like, okay, you know what? Literally, I'm having a day off. No one talked to me. I'm not doing a thing. I had like, oh, could you work today, Jazz? No. Oh, let's go do a family. No, nothing.
No.
And it was probably one of the worst days I've had in a really long time.
Oh my God. No. I am like, I'm going to put both headphones on. I've decided. I am like this. Okay.
So bad.
No. I actually have like a tip for you. Okay. Because so last year we had the open day, if you recall.
I do remember that list. What was the list that you made?
It was called that was a bad word, schedule for two people who are still basically teenagers.
You and Anthony.
Myself and Anthony. We were, not anymore because Mel is now there, but we were the youngest staff members. But we had the open day, which the school had never done before. And I was like, right. I was on my Leslie Knope grind. I was like, I'm going to make this open day the best it can be. And then the next day I was like, I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to take a break. I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm not going to do anything. And it was the worst day ever.
So
and
bad.
I felt terrible.
Yeah.
So I spoke to my therapist about it.
Awesome.
Because I was like,
I wanted to do that, but mine's overseas.
Oh, okay. So I'm starting to feel like that's where the issues are. But no, literally I was like, I feel like what's wrong? Because like people are always telling me, as they probably are to you, yo, take a break.
Yeah.
Like take a day and
you're allowed
chill.
to relax. Like you're allowed to.
Yeah. And I'm like, no. But she was kind of like, okay, like your wind down days might look different to other people's. Like some people can probably stay in bed all day and have a great day and that's fine and that's what they need to recuperate. But like that day I needed to do my grocery shopping. Like I needed to do laundry and that's how I would feel like re-energized.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, because I was like thinking, like I had this list. I was like, I might clean my car. I might.
Oh my God, we are the same person.
And then
go on.
And then I was like, no, it's my day off. Like I'm not allowed to do that stuff. I have to sit in my bed and chill out. I did a bit of I'm reading The Artist's Way, you know the book.
Yes.
Yeah, have you read it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Who was it?
It's like where it's like every week is new tasks and it's like
Yeah. I don't know if I read it, but I am aware.
Yeah. So I'm on like my 4th week. And that's like really like deep questions and la la la.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can do this. Surely that's fine. Like I was doing all this. And I ended up like sitting, there's just this image in my head. I ended up going into the backyard. Like I was at the point of like, I just wanted to scream and cry for no reason except that I was stressing myself out for nothing.
Yep.
And I was like in my backyard, like I'm just going to chill out and just try to draw something. So I was like drawing some stuff and then my mum comes out to do the washing and I'm just in this corner with like tears in my eyes drawing in the backyard. And then she's like, your grandparents are going to come over for dinner. And I'm like, oh my God, that's lovely. But I was like, so like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like crying. I'm like, okay. And then I'm just trying to draw. And I'm just thinking like, what is wrong with me? It's my day.
No, there's nothing wrong with you.
But maybe I can just clean my car next time. But
I feel like that can help. Like I might take the morning and like knock it out of bed. But I know that I will have a terrible day if I do that all day.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just different for different people.
Yeah.
Like the way, like this weekend, for example, I was supposed to be away and then the trip got cancelled and I was like, okay, slay, like time off, like I can relax. But yesterday, guess what? I cleaned my car. Yay. Wow. But like doing those little tasks is what re-energizes me.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm not like, but I feel like that's the difference between like mental stress and physical stress. We're going on such a tangent. But like I'm not like, you know, cleaning my car is a bit laborious, but I'm not like stressing myself out to the point of burnout over it.
Yeah, right.
But that's like doing those little admin tasks, laundry, groceries, like that.
That's
I feel like that's not a bad thing if that's what you need to do on your day off.
Because I feel like you probably will relate to this.
Yeah.
Because most of what we're doing is creative and like fun and, you know, and so a lot of the time I feel like I'm failing to be a regular human being. And that I feel like maybe that stuff would make me just feel,
failing to be a regular human being, but also like I don't know about you, judging by the trend of this conversation already, you can probably relate. But like because there is this like subconscious, it's not a real job. Do you know what I mean?
Kind of.
Okay, maybe I'm phrasing that wrong because it is a real job. Like just FYI, it's a very, very important job and it should be valued.
That a lot of people still have that thing. I'm just seeing I don't know if I have that. Like I
think what I'm trying, let me try and rephrase. I feel like within this industry, maybe just on the ground level that we're still on, there is this pressure to be doing something all the time. Like all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Instagram is sometimes very stressful because I'll look at like people that I follow who are actors and it feels like they are constantly auditioning.
I only go on Instagram for half an hour now a day.
That's probably for the best. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it's where I got my news. So like I have to look at it to keep up with the events, unfortunately, because it's also horrifying. Yeah. But like I feel like there is this pressure that like we will not make it, whatever that means, if we are not working or working at it like 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So like on your days off.
That was my Sunday issue.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like you have this whole like my instinct when I'm like, oh my God, like this weekend again, I'm supposed to be on a trip that's been rescheduled.
What was the trip?
I was supposed to be going to Parks this weekend to visit Liam.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going next weekend.
Okay.
But it's like, I have this whole weekend free. My first instinct is like, what creative work can I fill it with?
Yeah.
Like on Saturday, I'm like, I'm painting all day.
That's
just because. Yeah. Because I never get the time to paint. But
are you good at painting?
Sorry?
Are you good at painting? Because I always want to do stuff like that, but I'm not even remotely good at it. But you know when you can just do it for fun anyway.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're actually good at it.
Yes. Yeah. I can paint, yes. And that's another thing. That's another thing as well. Like this feeling of like not being able to do something just because you enjoy it if it's not good.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I feel like just to bring it back to Emma Chamberlain, we were talking about Emma Chamberlain before. But like when in some of her more artistic videos, when she started painting, just like feel better.
And like learnt to play the drums and
to play the drums, like just like hobbies, guys. Let's bring back hobbies.
Let's bring hobbies for the win. Like.
Let's bring back hobbies without the like the underlying aim to monetize it.
Good, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because it's the way that I have a Pinterest board for hobbies. Like hobbies I want to do.
Hobbies I want to do.
There's a lot on there.
Well, I read this book of essays once.
That's so cool.
Thanks.
Genuinely, that's awesome. I want to do that. What were they about?
I'll have to give you the title after, but it was by a woman called Pandora Sykes. It was essentially just about living in the world. She wrote one of these essays was just like it talked about how everything kind of feels like a task. Like we're getting to a point where we like want to monetize everything, or we're desperately trying to be productive at all times. And then it was like that even the act of replying to a text message feels like a task.
It does.
And I'm like, I am the worst. I am so sorry to everyone whose texts I have not replied to yet. And I can already think of like 3 people who that is. You know who I'm so sorry, because I can't do it. Like I just struggle so much because it feels like a task.
That's so weird because I used to be the polar opposite, and I think I was writing this in my journal the other day of what I discovered about myself. But
I love that.
I used to be like, I couldn't comprehend people that couldn't answer a text. I'm like, if you see the text, answer it. I was the polar opposite. And now I'm this.
Yeah.
Now I can't answer them. I've become this.
I'm this.
There's just no in between though. I was like, either like if I'm reading it, I have to answer now. And I couldn't even have notifications without like, I couldn't have notifications. I was like, no, these can't be here. But now my notifications.
So many notifications. I struggle so much because it's like, here's the thing about texting people. Then they reply. And suddenly you're like in conversation with someone. And I don't like, and actually this probably comes back to everything that I'm saying about toxic productivity right now, because like I don't like texting and not doing another activity. Like I don't like, because with calling, for example, I'm like on the phone. Like that is an activity. I'm like, sorry guys, I'm on the phone.
Really? Because when I call, I'm doing other things.
No.
I call, you're on speaker, I'm cleaning my room. Like there's something else going on.
It depends on like who you're talking to and like what the situation is. But to me, a call is like, I'm just taking a bit of time because I need to like talk to you about this thing right now, or just like check in.
Oh, okay.
So like a call is like a separate thing.
Okay.
Whereas like texting, I feel like I can't like, you know, I've sat down to draw or something, for example, and been like, oh, I'll reply to this text. But then it's like, I can't get into the rhythm of drawing because like then they're texting me, you know?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
As I said that out loud, I was like, what? This is the stupidest thing I've ever said.
That makes a lot of sense.
Why am I giving oxygen to this?
No, not to make this sound so fancy, but it's because like you're in a flow state and then you're ruining it with the text. So that's why you're not. And flow state's like a legit
But it's
thing.
also that thing like, you know, just to again, like, you know, bring in something that will probably, the crowd will groan. But that's that whole thing about like your phones. Like I remember, I remember in like one of the first classes that I had at acting school was with Philip Quast, the great Philip Quast. And I remember him saying, when you leave class or when you like have an experience or something happens and the first thing you do is check your phone, that kills all the creativity that you have just experienced.
That makes sense.
That might be flowing through you. And it's so true. Like I will have trains of thought that just die on the spot because I'll check my phone. Like it's ridiculous. Yeah. Whatever.
It is though. I very much agree.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to balance because it's unavoidable at this point. Like just how do you
And it's unavoidable as well because like so much of like what we have to do, unfortunately, is like about social media and like being creating.
Yeah.
Being creating? Like as in you're constantly creating things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that doesn't. I've also, speaking of that, I don't know about you again, but I have an issue where, okay, it's not that much of an issue. If anything, it's probably a great thing and I'm just being silly.
Okay.
But it's almost like I just have too many things creatively that I just really want to do. And I I've already outdone like this year's just ridiculous. Like the amount of times I'm like, which project should I drop? Like this is just silly, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to. I'm committed to all of them now. Like just stick it out for the year.
Burn out, girl.
It's happened too many times. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
But like, but then you let that creative thing go and then you do have time and then you're like, oh, that's great too. I want to do this whole.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like such a blessing and a curse about like in this industry. Cause like I love it. Like you know, I might complain about it from time to time, but I would never be doing anything else. Like I absolutely love it. And I feel very like, I guess privileged that like I was able to get an education in it and like train and be in that environment full time for 2 years. Like that's such an invaluable experience and like nothing else that I've ever experienced. And I'm just really like grateful that that is my inclination, is to be creative. Like I just can't imagine not being that. And also like it's such a big deal, and like I think it's important to like acknowledge that with yourself and also with other people in this field. Like the fact that like you, for example, have like said, I want to do this, like whatever, when I grow up, whatever, but like I want to do this, and you're pursuing it is such a huge thing. Like a lot of people never do that.
Point. Yeah.
Like we're very, like I feel very lucky to be surrounded by people like that.
That's a really good
I think it's so important to acknowledge.
Yeah.
But yeah, the like obviously the other side of that is like it is a very competitive and a very challenging industry, and it like the amount of rejection is like ridiculous, and like all of the kind of, I don't know, pressures. I mean, I was very lucky, like not a single member of my family or parent tried to tell me not to do it.
Me too.
Are you the same?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is like, yeah, doing it is already quite a niche experience, but then having people encouraging you to do it is even crazier.
My dad was like, let's sit down and make a plan. Let's like figure out how you're going to do that.
Your dad.
Wow.
Okay, the same father.
So I'm learning we're the same person. We have the same father. Great. But yeah, like that is so helpful, because I couldn't imagine trying to make all of this work and then trying to like convince the people closest to you that it's worth your time. Like how emotionally draining would that be? Constantly having to like prove that you deserve to exist.
That's crazy. You're so right. This giant project you've been working on for 4 years.
Correct.
Your feature film that we did the table read for.
Yeah.
Please. Okay, my bigger questions were about what's it like committing to something for that long, and then suddenly you were talking about how it's crazy that it's finally happening. Like you were crazy that night. Like what a crazy experience. You couldn't sit down because you were so like,
I was so excited.
I loved it.
I think like I think when I started, I didn't really think too much about it.
Yeah.
Like all of the like big milestones of this project, which actually, to be honest, have just been starting it and then shooting the scene this year and then the table reads, like 3, and 2 of them were this year. But when I started it, I didn't really think about what it would mean to start writing the film, if that makes sense. Like when I thought of I just thought of the opening image one day in 2020, and I was like, oh, there's something there. And I thought of I was kind of thinking about like what I would want to write about. In case you like couldn't tell from my entire personality and kind of the film, it's very heavily inspired by Lady Bird. I do want to be Greta Gerwig when I grow up.
You know what I was thinking today is I was getting that energy from you.
Oh my God.
Gerwig. Literally when you sat down, I was like, oh my God. I don't know if it's the shirt. Does she wear shirts like that?
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, no. Very heavily inspired by Lady Bird. Like Lady Bird is so... like it's semi-autobiographical, but it feels so personal when you watch it. You've seen it. Okay, good. Yeah. Just
fired.
I would have walked out. But I think like when I first thought of the idea, I was kind of thinking like, what do I have to write about? Like, is there something that I really want to give voice to, that I really want to like, talk about? And it started off just being like about a girl in high school, because I found that like, I was actually watching a video essay on Lady Bird, and this girl spoke about the fact that like high school, I don't know if you like feel similarly, but like high school was so long ago, but it feels like yesterday. Like the impact that it had on me is like still, like I'm still feeling the effects of it.
Yeah,
Not in a kind
I have
of
a similar, slightly similar thing. Not even actually in the same category of things, but like,
not like in the, like, not that I'm like recovering from it or something like that, but it was just such a like profound and deep experience for me. Like I really enjoyed high school.
That's good.
I had a good experience, and I think like, it just like, it just shaped who I am. And the particular high school experience that I had felt very singular, a little bit like when shout out Demi Louise, friend of the podcast, but when Demi watched Lady Bird, sorry Demi, I'm just like sharing your experience, but when Demi watched Lady Bird, she like, I remember her coming up to me being like, oh my God, like, because she went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
And she was like, we had to do that. Oh, yeah. So it was a bit like that when
Until
you watched
year
it?
10.
Like, was
yeah, like when they're sitting, yeah.
Just like the tiny details of it were like, we had to do that. And like just that small thing just makes you kind of open up to it just a tiny bit more, because you're like, this is like my experience, and like, what's this film going to be? And I couldn't really think of like too many things that were like that. Like I went to like an all girls private school on the North Shore, which is a very particular experience. And the only thing that I really like had to kind of, I guess, represent it on screen is like bloody Summer Heights High and Jemay. Because Chris Lilly, I remember when Jemay was coming out, because we would watch it every week.
Oh my God.
Have you ever seen it?
I like an episode.
Yeah. It's very accurate, unfortunately. Like we would all be like, oh my God, I know people like that. And it was like stuff like that was so real. Right. But I was like, I obviously don't want to just rewrite, that mockumentary, like whatever.
Yeah.
But so it was originally just going to be about that. But I didn't really think, to kind of go back a little bit to your question, like I didn't really think about like the scale of what that would be, or the amount of work it would be, or like what it would mean for me. I was just kind of like like typing it out. And then I remember the night, like there was all this stuff happening with my friends, like about this particular topic, and which I'll talk about the topic, but like there was all this stuff happening with my friends that kind of like circled around this particular topic. My mum and I were watching the Taylor Swift documentary, Miss Americana on Netflix, and it was up to the part about when she took this man to court for like groping her. This was around the time, like 2020, I think it was 2020, was when Chanel Contos like put out this just Google Drive survey about girls who went to private school in the North Shore who were sexually assaulted by boys who went to private school in the North Shore. Or maybe not necessarily on the North Shore, but just girls' private schools and boys' private schools, so like single sex education.
Yeah, right.
And like the thousands of girls who were like, yeah. And like you could put a testimony in anonymously, and like scrolling through pages and pages of them, like it was ridiculous. And I remember like my friend sending the link to our group chat of like, boys and girls, and being like, everybody have a read of this, because this is like affects all of us. And I think all of that was happening at the same time, and I just kind of had this moment where I was like, this film is going to be such a waste if I don't, like, for me personally, not that it would have been a waste otherwise, but for me personally, this film would be such a waste if I didn't use it to talk about this thing, because it needs to be talked about, and it needs to be kind of brought to like a mainstream kind of audience, because it is mainstream in the sense that it's happening all the time. Like, so unfortunately, it's like horrifying, and it's not changing, which is almost worse. Obviously, like, consent education in New South Wales is like, at least people are becoming more and more aware of how necessary it is, and like what it would look like to have effective consent education. But yeah,
it's just a very slow process.
It's a very slow process. So when I kind of had that idea, I was like, okay, that was kind of when it like sunk for me of like, I want to write this, and I want to write this well. But again, I had like no idea of how long it was going to take me to do it. Yeah. So it wasn't really daunting in that sense, because I think I was always just kind of like, no, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Like, I actually have a question for you of how long.
Yeah.
What did make it take this long? Because was it like you had phases of just writing heaps and stopping, or was it because you were just really critical of what you were writing, or,
Yeah. What did take it? Okay, insecurity. No. Yeah. Well, I think it was a little bit of that. Like, just wrote for a bit and then you know, didn't have the time or like
Yeah.
just wasn't a priority, you know, like we always have the time. Even if you've got 12 things on at once, you can prioritize.
So let that sink in.
Just going to pause for a minute. No. And I wasn't prioritizing it. Like it was important to me, but I was kind of like swept up in the like, oh, I'm freelancing and I'm working at the school and I'm like, you know, got a million things on at once. I'm tutoring English for whatever reason. Like there was all this other stuff going on that I was kind of like, just kind of went onto the back burner of like big projects that are always like in, you know what I mean? Like it's always going to be there. And then in 2021 during lockdown, that thing, I actually like controversial. I really enjoyed 2021 lockdown.
I was in HSE, so it was a bit
Oh my God,
weird.
that is terrible.
It's like I wasn't getting an ATAR, so I really wasn't too fussed, but it was pretty lame having to do all the Zoom classes.
That is terrible. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
No.
But I wish sometimes I find myself wishing for like maybe a 6-week one, just not to jinx anything, but just so I can
okay, that is
you
so
know, revive
funny
my life.
Because so like maybe 2 weeks before the big 2021 lockdown, I was so burnt out. Like I remember waking up in the morning. It was like the HSC Careers Expo. Yeah. And I remember waking up in the morning and I grabbed a glass to make coffee and I just like slammed the glass into the cupboard. Like not deliberately, but just because I was like so tired and shaky that I just like slammed the glass in and like broke it.
Oh my God.
And I remember it was like just at the moment that my dad jumped on this work call. So he was kind of looking at me and I was just crying and I was just cleaning up this like glass and crying and I was at like my lowest. It was so bad. And I remember thinking, God, I could really do with another lockdown. And then like 2 weeks later, there we were. So sorry, everyone. That was me. But I really enjoyed the time because like, I mean, personally, and I know that I like was in such a like easy position. Like I live in a very beautiful suburb. Like I'm aware of all these things, but it gave me all this time to like do the things that I wasn't able to do. And I just like felt for some reason, like I just felt very creatively fulfilled. Like I just felt very like free. So I was just able to, I don't know, it was just really great. And then I also started doing this like life coaching course. Like
you were teaching it or someone was teaching it?
God, no. No, I had a life coach.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh my God. No, there's a YouTuber that I really like called Sarah Basker. I don't know if you know. No, but her life coach put on this like event for like fans of hers.
Oh, cool.
In 2021 out of lockdown, like before we went in, called, her name was Joy. So it was like Joycella. It's like a festival over Zoom for a weekend. I know it sounds lame, but it was like life-changing.
That's good. You'd hope so from a life coach.
I know, right?
Yeah. What changed?
Oh my God. Well, like all of these things that I think I already knew that suddenly I had vocabulary for.
Okay.
So like, for example, like, okay, just to give context to this, we're going real deep into a lot of things. But
this happens at night, I feel.
This happens at night.
Happens at night and it happens on my podcast. Dream guest on my podcast.
Okay. Got to get it out of the system. We had to say it once. Yeah. So like just very briefly, like I think that kind of language of like spirituality, manifestation, the universe, like bringing you things makes so much more sense to me than institutionalized religion ever did. Like I never.
That's what this Artist Sway book is giving to me right now that I never had and I really like.
Like something about like the church just never quite. I couldn't quite connect to it. I tried really hard, but I just couldn't do it. Like having that language to talk about like my experiences and like just how I understood life and like my place in it made such a difference, like creatively and also just in life. Yeah. But she talks about like living like you either live in like fear or love and like, which we've all heard in some variety, but like the image that she used of like the sun, like love goes out, like your rays hit other people and then they get it and then they like are attracted to your energy and they want to be part of your life. And then fear is when it comes in and that's like when people turn away. No, honestly, and like that's sort of the way that she spoke about it and the way that she's like, you know, spoke about being an artist in the world and like, you know, the things that could be holding you back made me go like, oh my God, like that's holding me back. Mainly perfection paralysis. Like
Nice.
not being able to do anything unless it was perfect was a huge thing. And just like making that switch and like doing that course and being put in that position where I had to like be vulnerable and share something that I was working on every single week just made me really motivated to keep going.
Yeah.
So I picked the script up during that course for like the first time in a year. And I was just kind of like, oh, like I really want to make this good. Like, you know, I have something to say and I really want to do a good job. And like, it's actually not about me. It's like about what am I telling people? How can I help people? Like who are my audience? Like who's my audience? Like sharing that with them. So that was a big help. And also like, it was really interesting. They were all American. So it was really interesting to like kind of test things with them.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause some of the things in the script are very Australian specific, but also just speak to them about their experiences and like how it differs from our experiences. And like, you know, our countries are very different. Well, similar, but different, especially now. Yeah. So that was just really interesting. And like, that was a period of time where I was just like really doing so much research. So like the protagonist wants to be a mechanical engineer. I could not tell you one thing about that, but like that's where Nikita came in, my bestie. Hey girl. Because I was like, I just interviewed her about her experience and like tried to glean things from that to, you know, inform the script. But even then it wasn't like, oh, this is going to take me another 2 years. Like I think it was literally just like life got in the way. Like I wish I had a better excuse than that. But
no, that's fair.
it's true. And like, you know, things have been like pretty like up and down since 2021. So I think after that course, it was never quite on the back burner as far as it was in 2020.
Yeah.
Like it was always kind of at the forefront of my mind.
That's
of
great.
like, got to keep doing that. The problem, of course, became when it became a task.
Yeah.
And it was like, if I don't do it, I'm like the worst person ever. But I think
that hit some spots.
but I think like this year in particular, the main thing that's like made me like finish the script this year is just doing things before I'm ready to do them, which is linked to that like perfection paralysis. And like Joy used to talk about like diving into messy action, which I really love.
That's
And,
kind of
like,
been my motto this year without intentionally
see
making
that.
it that. But
No, I can see that.
You think I'm messy? No.
Yeah, I think you're straight up a mess.
You're a mess. Sort it out.
No, but I completely get that because I
Yeah.
feel like there's an element to like, you know, watching what you've done this year since graduating where there's like a lack of inhibition in the sense of you're just kind of like, I'm just going to do it. You know what I mean?
Really?
Which
Yeah.
I think is so important because I think
you.
that's like what like I didn't do after graduating.
Right.
Because I was just like, oh crap,
Like here it is.
here, like, you know, it's got to be like perfect just in everything, like, you know, self-tapes, the whole works, like not putting myself out there, not trying new things or doing any new projects that were like, you know, oh, they might fail. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, this like, I feel like messy action is perfect.
I think, it was some random video I saw and it was just this thing of this guy saying, it was something like the way it was worded was really entertaining and cool.
You miss every shot you don't take.
No, it was something along the lines of like, take dangerous risks or something, like as in,
Oh,
I think, and the example was like, me and my friend signed up for a stand-up comedy night and like obviously they wanted to be comedians or something, and so they were just forced to make the routine and forced to go do it because they booked it in. Do you know what I mean? And after I saw that, I don't know who they were or what that was, but after I saw that I was like, yeah, true, let me just book everything in and I'll sort it out when the time comes. And then I was talking to Kaylish in last episode, we were saying that stops a lot of block, like when you get writer's block and stuff. If you give yourself a deadline, you're a lot less likely to have it because you just have to have something.
Yeah.
And it won't be perfect, but it's there.
But there it is.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's why I booked the table read in.
Yeah.
Like I wrote out a timeline at the start of the year because I was like, right. When I was writing my goals for the year, I was like, this year's going to be different.
My New Year's resolution.
No, I like full on had a method. I was like following like a
smart
woman I
goal?
was talking. Not quite.
That's okay.
But that's good.
I never get there either. I always try and I don't succeed.
Yeah, dumb goals. No, I was following like the woman I was talking about before, Grace Beverly, like her like plan for the year, and it's working like in a way. Like usually I get to this point in the year. I think it's because I always burn out in March and June.
I remember you saying this, and then I remember thinking, did she burn out or not?
No.
You didn't?
No.
That's crazy.
I didn't, which is crazy. Yeah, I was like planning out my goals for the year and was like finish the screenplay. And I was like, right. And I did like a timeline of all the like, I'm going to have act 1 done by this date and I'm going to book this in there and do the shoot and blah, blah, blah. And like I had the table read for like October. And then it got to May because I shot, just a little backstory, guys. I shot a proof of concept scene for it in February, like right at the start of February, because January I was like, I just have to do it. Like it had been, I knew that I wanted to shoot it for like a year.
Yeah.
And I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then like I remember like in December I was talking to Tara, who played one of the characters, and I was like, I just got to do it. And we were like planning what date would be the best. And then in January I booked that scout hall and I was like, well,
here it is.
You know, better rally the troops then, because we have a location that I've paid money for. But the table read as well, like it hit May and I was kind of worried that I was losing momentum because like leading up to the shoot I had like a goal and something I was working towards, and then the shoot was done and it was kind of like, better keep writing, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was just worried that I was going to like drop off again. So then I booked the table read in because I was
smart.
like, I have to do it.
Yeah. And then you did it and it was incredible.
Thank you.
And did people send you more feedback and stuff?
I had 25 minutes of voice notes from Emil. Shout out Emil.
Shout out.
That was some really good constructive criticism that has made me like sit there and go, oh, not like in a bad way.
Yeah.
It is in like, okay, cool. Like that's actually really valid. I need to fix that. Need to fix that. Yeah. So that was really good. And everyone's just been so kind, which is really nice.
Yay.
I think I don't think I was like daunted. So bring it back to your original question. I don't think I was ever like daunted by the scope or the scale of it because I just didn't know what I was doing. Like I was just kind of like, okay, I guess this is next and this is the next step and I guess we're going to do this now. And I kind of tricked myself into being there and then suddenly we're at the table read and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
But it took Greta Gerwig to write 7 years to write Lady Bird, just saying.
Jeez.
7. So validation.
Yeah, that's good. Now I feel like my script isn't going to be good unless it takes me that long.
I know, I'm like, oh my God, it's only been 4. Like I have 3 more years.
And then you're also, if you want to talk about it, we'll see, but you're also writing with Nathan. No one really knows Nathan unless you know Nathan, but Nathan's great.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
Yes, Nathan is one of my besties from acting school. He and I used to write like extra projects on weekends.
That's so cute
because
and wholesome.
The workload wasn't enough. Like we would hang out on Sundays and like we were writing this short film, just like it was essentially just like an emotional dump. Like it was really fun and like I think like it was really like I'm proud of what we did. But yeah, we just gave ourselves like extra work. And I think he's another person where it's like I was always just like, I'm always going to be writing something with him. Like it was just kind of like, yeah, it never occurred to me that like we weren't going to be working on something.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, last year, 2023, my word of the year was action.
Nice. What's this year's word?
Couple setback. This year's still action because in 2023, there were a few setbacks that meant that I kind of really gave up on action. But at the start of the year, Nathan and I were like, we're going to write every week. And we did, I mean, like give or take a few weeks when things come up. But like we write consistently every week.
Wow.
So we've been writing this web series. And this year we've been working on the pitch for it, which is very exciting.
It's very exciting.
But also like exciting and scary, but also like kind of similar to that messy action. Like we're just doing it. Like I don't think we've really given ourselves the time to be like, oh God, like what are we doing? Is this terrible? Like I think we just have to do it.
I think that's like, yeah, it works.
It works.
It really works.
I think it's like you have to just trust, like you'll have to share it with people.
Yeah.
Because as well, I think I feel this a lot with you and Bianca with the book notes, where it's like you guys, it's really great to work with you both because you're so open to any sort of like constructive criticism or feedback because you want it to be the best that it can be.
Yeah.
Like I feel like my work is not going to be its best if I don't seek feedback from others or like however scary and like, you know.
I think it's just about like seeking the right feedback. Like if you can tell the
from
difference.
people that you,
But definitely, it's so important.
So I feel like sitting there and kind of worrying like, is this good? Which is funny because I've spent the last month sitting there and worrying, is this good? But I think like that is not helpful to creativity.
No.
I don't, no. And I think like it's about just like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do like, you know, I'm going to stick to my instincts. I'm going to create without worrying about whether it's good or bad or whatever. I'm just going to tell the truth and do this thing. And then, I mean, for me personally, I'm probably similarly to you. Similarly, sorry guys, stumbled over my words. Probably similarly to you, I'm like, and then when I share it with people, I pick people that I trust that they'll tell me if it's rubbish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and I'm still learning who those people are, but it's so nice when you come across one, you're like, okay, good.
Because I think it's such an act of kindness. Like, can you imagine if like you like shared, I don't know, the book nooks. Well, I can't say the book nooks because it's not rubbish, but like you shared so nice. Like work with me and it was like disgraceful. Not that Jasmine would ever do anything disgraceful.
I mean, you don't know that.
True, you could.
You don't know until it comes out.
But like, it would be such an unkind thing of me to do, to be like,
yeah, it's great.
No, this is great. You should put it out there.
Yeah.
And also such a waste of your time.
Yeah.
But also that's a hard lesson to learn, I think.
Yeah. Kayla and I, please listen to that episode because we spoke about like false, not false, I don't know. He used a really good word, but it was like that. Like you're saying something's really nice, but you don't mean it.
Yeah. Right.
It just doesn't help anyone. Lying.
Is it lying?
Yeah.
Is that the word you're looking for?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't
The
help
compliment
anyone.
sandwich always is great.
Oh, gotta love a compliment sandwich.
Literally live by that.
I love it though as well because you can always tell when it's coming. Like if you like give work to people, like you always know, like they say something good and you can just hear in their tone like, all right, say what you really think.
Okay. But like I always, yeah. But I mean, I do appreciate if there's like a really specific good thing that they say because it's good to know when stuff's good too. Like that, that is so valuable as well.
I think that's really important. I think that's like a very dangerous thing that I don't know about you, but I definitely get into where it's like I don't like celebrate the wins as much as I do like sit with the like, okay, well I just need to keep working, you know.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it, I think. Okay, I'm practicing like gratitude and trying to like do that more regularly. And that helps, I think, with that stuff. Because then you can actually just sit like at night and be like, I'm so happy that I actually sat down and did this 3 pages of this today. Good on me for actually doing that.
Oh,
like,
it's so important.
Wow. Yeah.
Because
it's so easy to just hate everything you're doing and hate yourself and
no,
the end.
100%. Like the only reason that I haven't burnt out this year is because I've spent the last year more than working with my therapist about my inner critic voice.
Yeah.
And like personifying her and like,
oh, cool.
Like she's separate to me. But also just like, I think just working on like sitting there and being like, okay, like I hear you, thanks. I'm just going to put you to the side now, which has helped so much, like that simple act. But also I think when I like was conscious of how unkind I was being to myself and like my inner child, for one, like it actually made me so upset that I can't speak unkindly to myself anymore. Which is like a huge thing. Like about specific,
it makes you upset that you...
As in like I get so upset kind of specifically when I'm talking about my work because like it just makes me so upset when I'm mean to myself about like not working hard enough.
Oh, that's
that I
good.
Like can't do it anymore. Like
so,
obviously,
that's great.
Obviously the thought will come up because that's what thoughts do. Mm-hmm. But like I can't internalize it anymore because I like will cry because I'll be like, I'm trying my best. And then I'll feel so genuinely like I am trying my best. And then I'll cry. And then I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. So that's how you cure burnout, guys. Just kidding. So much more to that.
Back to the messy action.
Sorry, yes.
Is I just, because I've been thinking of like an example, is I recorded my first single last week.
Oh my
last
God.
week
With Flynn?
with Flynn. Loved it. Such a fun process. I'm addicted to making songs. I want to do it every day, all the time.
Amazing.
Why are you in Wollongong, Flynn? Anyway,
Oh my God.
but yeah, it was a fun road trip. I thought I was going to die at one point, but that's okay.
Going down that hill?
steep hill. No one warned me, and I almost went on my
really?
brakes, like thinking I was about to drop off of a cliff.
No, yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, but yeah, and so now the song's happened and it's there. And I kind of had that deadline thing of like, okay, I'm going to release it. Once it's ready, I'm releasing it.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of like, okay, I don't have to do that. And I'm maybe not 100% sure I want that to be my first one now. But it's still there and I have a song that's been made.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like even if it's not,
100%.
even if you do the messy action and it ends up being messy,
Yeah.
it's done and you have something to learn from and like keep moving with. Like
100%.
which is great. Yeah.
Because I think as well, it does go both ways where like you're absolutely right. Like if the messy action thing helps you just create something, then it's done its job. Like that's fantastic. Like the fact that you have created something, like well done. Like that's it's honestly a huge thing. But also like you don't just want to put stuff out there for the sake of it. Like you don't just want to be like messy action and then just like put out like the worst song in the world. Not that you would have written the worst song in the world, but just to be like, yeah, I did it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as in, then there is value to like stepping back and being like, okay, I have it. Like, you know, is it worth?
Is it worth? Is it the first one? Like
Yeah. And
yeah.
I
It's
feel
just
like-
knowing what the quality of what you want to show to the world, I guess.
And I think it's like definitely that. And also like being able to kind of separate when it's like you're not putting it out there because you think I can make this better. I want to like, you know, I'm not done with this yet. I want to keep working at it. Or if you're just like afraid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there is a distinction there of like, and I feel like I always know, I don't know about you, but I always know when I'm not doing something because I'm afraid rather than like my script, like, you know, wasn't ready until the table read. But that's like because like, you know, it wasn't done or I was like, I can make this better. I need to like touch it up.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, there have been times where I like haven't signed up for this thing or like, you know, haven't put my name down to do XYZ and I can like tell myself it's because, oh, I'm not ready or like blah, blah, blah. But I know in those moments deep down.
You can
it's
feel
just
when
because
the
I'm afraid.
excuses are
When it's an
excuses.
excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the danger of being hyper self-aware, I say. It's quite the journey. So with your feature film,
Yes.
it's, as we know, well, as I know, a very personal, I'm like, no one else knows, a very personal situation that you've been through and a script, like it's your life, right?
Yeah.
So how do you go about writing something like that that's also very deep and you said it changed you a lot? And how do you kind of take care of yourself and your own mental health when writing about something that you've been through like that, you know?
Yeah.
Finding the balance of that.
Definitely that. I mean, like, as I said before, like, you know, it's about like a girl in her final year of high school at an all-girls private school. So a lot of the like day-to-day things are very much literally stolen, like word for word from like conversations I had or like, you know, places I went, like all of that is very similar. And then obviously like the situation that it is about, like what I was talking about before, like instances of sexual assault is very personal as well. Like it's loosely autobiographical. So it's not like the situation itself is not what happened to me, but it's based on that experience,
Right.
which I think is like a big part of it was like I needed to be really honest with myself about whether I was ready to write about it.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, as the journey that the character kind of goes on, it takes forever to actually realize that that's happened to you. Part of that is because of the absolutely abysmal consent education that we have in New South Wales. So like I had no idea. But also I think as well, like, you know, just to go a little bit deeper, there is this kind of tendency to blame women for things that happen and like blame women for stuff like this and like those sorts of situations. Like the character is very drunk, and I think, I mean, we saw it with like the Brittany Higgins trial. Like as soon as like alcohol, for example, is brought into it, it's like the woman is on the stand like being questioned like she is the perpetrator.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the big thing at the end of the script. It's kind of mentioned, but like in 2015, Brock Turner was who was a swimmer at Stanford. Like he sexually assaulted a girl. Yeah, whose name is Chanel Miller now, because she was going by Jane Doe, I think, or Emily Doe, whatever. But she's written this amazing memoir called Know My Name about her experience. But because she was like passed out drunk, her entire life and like, you know, who she was and her choices were all being picked apart to like kind of paint this picture that it was her fault for being there, which is so insane, like from the outside looking in. But all the articles that I read, I was 15 when it happened, were all about how, oh, what a shame it is because he's such a good swimmer. Like when that picture is painted of women who, like the few who have the courage to speak up about it, like of course we're going to blame ourselves when it's just happening on like a day-to-day level for teenagers. Like that's cool. Yeah. That's all we have. Like we only have that context for it. Like we're so young. So I think like it took a very long time to process like what had actually happened, especially because it was a friend. We're not friends anymore.
Disclaimer.
In case that wasn't obvious. And yeah, like it took a while to kind of like sit with that. And also to stop myself from trying to tell myself that, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. Do you know what I mean?
Wow,
like trying to be like,
because making that into a film would be a bit, you'd feel like,
oh crap, like is it actually nothing? Like am I just making out of nothing? And like, you know, is it even worth it? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, wow.
Yes, it is worth it. Like I think it's, yeah.
The atmosphere, I don't think I said this, in the table read, the atmosphere that like you made was insane. Like the way that I was just sitting in my chair, like, like, you know, when you like fight or flight, freeze, I was like freeze, like for half of it, like just because of like the way, like the tension and because of the experience, like, it's just like, it's so important. Like, do you know what I mean? Like just the fact I'm having that reaction from that. And like, I didn't go through an experience like that, but it's just so relatable for so many people. Like
100%.
And that was just the script. And that was just like a first read of the script.
You could definitely feel in the air, like when it became about that, something changed in the room. And everyone was like,
and that's what I mean. It's so powerful.
Crap. Which was good. Like I wanted that because I also think like part of the script is like, I don't want it to like lull people into a false sense of security, but I think like part of the tragedy of it is that it is normal, like which sucks, but it is so common that I think like it does feel a bit like, oh crap, like is this just something that happens? Like it just sort of, I don't want to say like came out of nowhere, but like it's just integrated into like a part of her life that she has to deal with.
Yeah.
Which is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because also like, you know, how many like young girls right now are sitting with it and it's just part of their life. So like that sort of thing is so, confronting, I think. So I was really like glad. I was really happy with like everyone in the room was very respectful of it and like listened when particularly like the women were sharing stories and like talking about things. That was very important and meaningful. I think when I started writing about it, that was when I was kind of like, I can write about this. Like not copying my exact situation like shot for shot helps because it's like, it's not me. Like it's loosely based around me, but that's not my situation.
Yeah.
So that feels a little bit less, not vulnerable, but a little bit less like, I guess, confronting. It's easy to remove myself, easier to remove myself.
Which I think is also just important
need.
As a writer, so you're knowing like how to aid the story. Yeah. Instead of it just becoming like, not that you did this, but like it could just become personal like therapy, if that makes sense.
Which
like,
is important.
Yeah,
which is so
part
important.
Of the process.
Yeah, very important.
But it's good you can do that.
Yeah, especially when it comes from something personal. Like I think it's very important to just get it all out so that then you can look at it and be like, okay, how should this work? But yeah, I think the hardest part has actually hasn't been about my personal experience because I think I was like so like honest with myself from the beginning of like, I'm going to have to like take from this. So I think like I was prepared for that. The hardest part has actually been the research. So like it's set, I graduated high school in 2017. So it's set in 2017 and 2017 was when all of the stuff about like that producer came out and like that whole movement. So I think like I was doing a lot of research about that to just kind of place it contextually, and it's horrifying. Like I cried reading about it all again, and like that was what was hardest. Act 3 was hardest because a lot of it was about that.
Yeah.
And like just like researching all of these things that were going on at the time in people's stories, that was really, really hard. And that actually took me the longest to get through, because I was like just getting like I was just so upset about all of these things that had happened. And then that, of course, like kind of reaffirms to me like how important things like this are, especially set in this context where people like not necessarily aren't expecting it, but it's not immediately like a political film.
Yeah. It's just a high school.
It's just like it's a high school. But unfortunately, this is part of high school, as much as like I wish it were different.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of like reading about other people's stories and reading other people's testimonies and like the empathy that came from that was the hardest part. And then getting it all out on paper was very cathartic. But like it's much easier now that it's done.
And now like you said, it's something that you connected so much to, you realize how important it is. So because you did all that work and went through all that painful research, like you can always draw back to that feeling of when you first did it, you know. It's 100%. Like you always find the meaning again, I feel. So it's like worth it even with the sadness.
Yeah. Well, I think as well, like now I have like a clearer kind of, you know, who's my target audience and like who am I making this film for? And I think it's like having that person in mind is very motivating, but it takes it off me. Yeah. Like I'm not writing a film because I'm like, I want to write the best film and I want everyone in the world to know what a good writer I am. Yeah. Even though when I did finish exposing myself, I took a photo of myself and sent it to Nikita and I was like, I'm posting this when I win Best Original Screen.
You have to have that.
Manifest stuff like that.
You do.
But like that's not why I'm writing it. It's not about me. It's about that person, like that target audience, that person who might be empowered, you know, after watching it. Because I think as well, like it's so funny to me when people try and kind of diminish the importance of any sort of creative like media at all. When people try and act like it's insignificant. I'm like,
you never know who
you
it's
ever watched a movie? Like the number, I mean, this also might just be me because of like, you know, who I am and the industry that we're in. But I like search for characters and stories that are like in my situation specifically to kind of like sit with. Yeah,
I've never even thought to do that.
Okay, cool. That's just me.
No, that's cool. Like, that's cool though. That's not weird. That's cool. Like I've never even considered looking at characters. How do you search for like, do you like, what does your search bar look like in that situation? Like, I don't know.
Okay, well, so like, for example, this is a very like shallow, well, no, in the moment it's very important when you're a little teeny popper, but like, like just boy trouble.
Yeah.
And then like, there was a, so like one of my favorite TV shows is this Norwegian show called Scam.
Yeah.
That a friend in high school showed me. And these 3 characters were in this like exact situation that like I was in with 2 of my friends.
That's crazy.
And it was kind of like, I don't know, it was just like comforting to like watch those episodes.
So did you find the show before?
Like no, but I think that was like the first time that I can remember like watching it and being like, oh, they're going through what I'm going through.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Cool, yeah.
And then like since then, I mean like earlier this year, like we had a family member like get really unwell, and then I immediately was like went to read this book that I've read a million times before because it starts off with like a relative passing.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I
see
like,
what you're saying now.
I need to like be with these characters who like are going through what I'm going through.
That is awesome.
Well, I mean, I could also talk to my friends.
Yeah. No, but now I'm like,
I don't know.
What? I think my equivalent of that is a lot more minuscule, but I will go on to like like a really specific situation. I don't know, but like I'll type it in and then like on a Reddit page or something. Oh, do you know what I mean? But it's like all the people going through it online.
I mean, it's just that desperate search that we're always in to not be alone.
Is there another person out there?
Yeah. And I mean, like that doesn't like social media and like the internet both helps and is the complete opposite. Like it helps and really hinders that. Like I feel like any sort of connection, I mean, that's like what being a human is all about, right? You can't disregard it, and you can't like deny just how much it helps to normalize so many things. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it really does have the power to change people's perspectives on things, like seeing characters, like people different to us going through things and just hearing different perspectives. Like I think at the end of the day, that's what it is. I mean, like my favorite one of that is like John Hughes in the 80s making films about teenagers. Like people hadn't done that before. And it was like suddenly these teens had a voice. And it was like the Breakfast Club of them, you know, talking about the expectations that the adults in their life had on them. And like what that must have been like for people in the 80s watching those films, and like for teenagers to watch those films and be like, oh my God, that's me.
That's such a good point.
Like I think just stuff like small stuff like that has such power, you know? And I think like, I just think it's a very dangerous thing to assume that it's not important.
Because even if like a certain thing isn't important to you, you don't know who it's going to affect. Like it's always going to affect someone.
Yeah, exactly. You have no idea how like each different person is going to perceive like a film or a show or a book or
Inside
something like
Out
that.
too?
Inside Out too,
Jesus.
man.
Cried.
When that belief formed the first like jagged, and it was her being like, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I was like,
okay, so this is a good movie.
I was like, okay, so this film is made about me? Question mark? Like that.
No, but it's just so important.
It's so important.
That's one of I think that's my personal, at least now in my life, is like mental health stuff. I'd love to see a lot more of that. Like,
well, that's
what I want my script to be about it when it continues. But
100%.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have a really funny like example for this that you're gonna laugh at.
Okay.
But I think that The Summer I Turned Pretty,
I haven't even seen it.
oh girl, does such a good job at this.
Really?
Allow me to explain. So like it's, for those of you who don't know, do you know what it's about?
I know like the very brief, like she turns pretty and then is there like a love triangle or something?
She goes through puberty, guys. Yeah, it's like there's the family, like they're family friends, and there are the two brothers, and like she's always had a crush on Conrad, and he's the older brother, and then there's the other brother, Jeremiah.
Okay.
Team Jeremiah. Actually, no, Team Belly Get Your Life Together. I can't believe I'm talking about this subject, but okay, I promise this has a point. So like it's a silly show. Yeah. I love it. I've just watched it for the third time. It's a very like wide-reaching show. Like heaps of girlies are watching it. Like my friends watch it. Like we are like, 24, 25 teenage girls. Like, it's reaching a very wide audience. I love it. There's so much in that show that is just normalized and not commented on.
Right.
So for example, the characters are constantly like, one of them, Taylor in season 2, is like, my therapist says this and my therapist says that, without the plot line of that conversation being like, you go to therapy? Also, the men in that show cry. Conrad has panic attacks. And when Conrad has a panic attack on the beach, it's the brother, like not his brother, but Belly, the protagonist's brother, Steven, who goes out to help him. Like it's this,
I see what you're
two
saying.
men having a conversation about their emotions without it being like, you can talk, bro. It's not weak to speak. Like it has such a, valuable place, but like it's just normal in that show. Like another man teaches Conrad like a breathing technique for when he has panic attacks. Jeremiah I think he's bisexual. He's queer. And like when he kisses a boy in one of the first episodes, and I was like, oh my God. Like I thought it was going to be a whole thing that they discovered that he kissed a boy.
Yeah.
But no. And then when I went and rewatched it for the first time, like he's talking to Steven and about all the people that he's kissed in the country club or whatever. And he's like, I kissed her, I kissed him, I kissed her, like blah, blah, blah. Like, and it was just like normal.
Completely like not. Yeah.
Like
that's great.
There was a lot of stuff.
I feel like we should be like heading to that era now.
Right?
Yeah. Because there's been a whole, like, obviously there's very specific shows or movies, whatever, that like their whole reason for existing is to talk about that topic.
Yeah.
But I love like just in mainstream, like normal, like a show with like a plot. What am I saying?
Like a show with a plot that's like a girl choosing between two boys.
Yeah. And then
Also,
having all that stuff in the background like is great.
because it is normal. Like
Yeah.
I think it's so important, and like that to me, like, you know, how many teens like hear Taylor say like, you know, oh, my therapist says this, and then just think, oh, it's okay that I need to go to therapy, or like, oh, maybe I should go to therapy if that's going to help. Like there's so much there that like, and it happens subconsciously. Like I'm not saying that people watch that show and be like, it is okay to be queer. Like,
But I think that's the point. Like that's the good thing about it.
yeah, and that's exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's my opinion on The Summer I Turned Pretty.
Kind of want to watch it now.
You should. You really
Oh my
should.
God.
The big thing for me is like men crying. That's like a massive thing that I'm like, yes. Because I think like growing up and like in media that we still see today, like when women cry, it's like either they're sad or they're hysterical. But showing men cry or freak out is always for comedy. Like it's always the punchline is that he's crying. I mean, I'm rewatching How I Met Your Mother right now, and it's just laced with
How I Met Your Mother is Look, I can't, like, I love it. I'm sorry.
Oh, I love it.
I love it. It has a lot of, there's a lot we could change, but
product of its time.
it's product of its time. And I'm sorry, I love it. I can't.
I do love it.
It's like loving your, I don't know, grandpa that just isn't like.
Every so often says something we like, don't say
Yeah.
that. No.
But, you know.
But yeah, that's so like in The Summer I Turned Pretty, like having Conrad have panic attacks and the boys crying, like they go through some pretty hard stuff. They're going to cry because why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah. Brilliant.
But that's why I think media is important.
Awesome. So everyone that's listening that's in the creative arts, as you already know, creative arts is important.
Just in case it wasn't abundantly clear, guys.
I just
the
realized we're
arts
preaching to
have
the converted
value.
completely.
I
like,
know, literally. Like no one's listening to That's a Wrap, What's Next? If
Hate
they're,
criming it,
if
like
they're
hate.
like, I hate creative people. But I think it's also important
bad.
because I think sometimes we can internalize that it's like silly. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Or that
and
it's
also
not worthy.
us talking about it like this could help someone talk about it to someone that does
They're
not
friends.
like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think this is important.
I think so.
Let's not
No.
degrade that. Okay, what's your best tip for work-life balance before we wrap it up?
Oh, okay. Firstly, I like to write things down.
Oh yeah,
So that I can visually see if I have time to do something in a day or not.
love that.
But I also think like work-life balance is just about being honest and being kind with yourself. And like I am really struggling with it because I also think you could probably relate to this, but every time I have burnt out to the point of like just the worst burnout I've ever had, like complete exhaustion, I've been rewarded for it in the long run. I mean, like acting school, like that's 2 years of very intense training, complete burnout, nothing, no social, like nothing going on in my life. But hey, Pinnacle Award, you know what I mean? And like all through high school, it was always like, you know, so burnt out, but hey, there's a prize, you know, or there's the top mark. Like it was always being rewarded for it. So I think like making that link is like, oh, I'm like working so hard and I have no personal life and like, you know, everything, I'm so burnt out, but it's going to be worth it in the end. But I actually think like you don't do your best creative work when you're in that state, the fear state. But I think, I mean, like different things will work for different people, but like addressing your inner critic and like putting the time to work on that and just working on being kind to yourself makes such a difference.
And that's such a hard lesson to learn. It's taken me years
Such
to
a
even
hard
get to the point
lesson.
where I'm trying to now be kind. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Crazy.
I think like the more I do it, the more I prove to myself that the world's not going to implode if I don't finish this task tonight, because that's how I used to feel.
Yeah.
Like I would literally be, I remember it got really, sorry, we're going on a tangent again, but it got really bad in 2022 Oh, it got so bad. Like I was watching an episode of Modern Family, you know, to relax after a long day. My cat came and sat on my knee. And then so I was like, oh, well, George is on my knee. I better like watch another episode. I can't leave. So I watched maybe 1 or 2 more episodes and then I just had a meltdown.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I haven't done anything that I wanted to do this evening. And like I've wasted all my time and my life and everything sucks. Like because my cat came and sat on my knee.
Yeah.
So like
you're speaking into my soul. Like I don't have a cat, but everything else in that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I feel like
oh my God. Literally that's me right now. Like
yeah, it's just like the more that you practice it and like it is a bit of effort to be like, I am not going to like, you know, I have to go to bed now or I'm going to get like 5 hours sleep. And then waking up and living your day the next day and realizing the world didn't end because you didn't finish editing that video.
Yeah.
So I think just like practice being kind to yourself. Journal, huge thing.
I just bought a new notebook today because I'm running out.
The best. Yeah, I think just kindness and patience with yourself and time block your day. Be realistic and journal. That was
I like the being honest with yourself thing. That's so true. It's so easy to just lie and be like, no, I'll have time. And if I won't, I'll make the time. And yeah.
I'll sleep when I'm done.
But no, we could talk about this quite literally for centuries.
Yeah.
But that unfortunately is a wrap.
Wow.
What's next? Follow Aysha. Keep up to date with all of her things.
All my things.
Her really cool things. And be kind to yourself this week.
Be kind to yourself.
If not for you, for us.
Be kind to yourself and journal this week.
I think the building's closing.
Yeah.
Lots of love. Bye.